Hi, my name's Pat. All right, so let's review using the quadratic formula. Ready? First thing is you've got to have that formula in your head. You may have already memorized it, but there it is. Good to have written down for reference. Here's the next thing, and you want to make sure you remember this, is that when we're using the quadratic formula, you have to have a quadratic equation. So I've got ax squared plus bx plus c. But notice, equals 0. Okay? So my first step for some of these might be to make sure I have 0 on one side of the equal sign. So it's a quick fix. I will just subtract the 10 from each side. Make sure you do that, okay? Make sure your quadratic equation that you're working with looks like this. All right, from there then what I would do is maybe just pluck out the a, which is the coefficient of x squared, which is 1 here. Get the b, the value of b. Notice this one. B is the coefficient of x, but there's a minus 3 in front of the x. Include that negative, okay? My b value is a negative 3. Similarly with my c, it's a subtract 10, so my c is a negative 10. All right, good. You get the pieces of the puzzle all ready to go, and now you're just putting them into the right place in the formula. So x equals minus, my b value is negative 3, plus or minus square root, my b value, but squared, minus 4 times my a value times my c value. Parentheses might help here just for you to keep your head on straight with the numbers that I'm now multiplying, okay? 4 times 1 times a negative 10. All divided by, I better not forget that denominator, 2 times my a value. All right, make sure you're seeing where the numbers came from in your equation, a, b, and c, and why I put them where I did, which is just your formula. Then it's mostly just grinding through the numbers here. So equals, minus 3 is 3, plus or minus square root of 9. Minus 4 times 1 times a minus 10 is going to be a plus 40, divided by 2. Equals, let's clean up a little bit, because under the radical I have 9 plus 40, which is 49. I like that one because I know the square root of 49 is 7. Okay, now we're pretty much done with this one. What we were trying to solve for is x, right? X equals. But here's the other thing with the quadratic formula is realize you're getting two answers here. Plus or minus. Listen to the wording. Plus or minus. You're going to have x equals this 3 plus 7 over 2, or x equals that same 3 minus 7 over 2. And then simplify each of these, okay? 3 plus 7 is 10, divided by 2 is 5, or x equals 3 minus 7 is a negative 4, divided by 2 is negative 2, okay? All right. A couple more to go, and we'll pick up the pace here a little bit, but it's going to be the same routine every time, right? First, make sure it's equal to 0. Then I want to make sure I know what A is, what B is, and what C is. Now looking at the second example of mine, right? Go to the formula. X equals opposite of B, so a minus 6 plus or minus square root. B squared is 36. Minus 4ac, so 4 times 1 times 9 is 36, divided by 2 times a, which is 2 times 1, which is 2. And notice the radicand in this case, 36 minus 36 is 0. That can happen. It's actually a nice thing. What we get is minus 6 divided by 2 plus or minus square root of 0 up top, which is just 0. So x equals minus 6 divided by 2. I'll clean that up in a second, but the plus or minus square root of 0 is plus or minus 0. And from that last example, I was talking about two solutions, right? Plus or minus, but they're the same in this case. Plus 0 and minus 0 do the same thing. So I only get this one solution of x equals minus 3. Okay. All right, another example. 2x squared plus 3x minus 4. This time our a value is something other than 1. Of course, that can happen. b equals 3, c equals minus 4. Into the formula we go. Opposite of b plus or minus square root of 9. I'm taking b squared. Minus 4ac. So 4 times 2 is 8 times 4 is 32, but it's a negative, so plus 32. Divided by 2 times a is 2, so I get a 4. Check my numbers, but I'm just doing number crunching, right? Just putting the a, the b, and the c into the right place in the formula and then just grind it out. Then I'm getting minus 3 plus or minus square root of 9 plus 32 is 41 under that square root. And if I could clean that up under the radical, I would, but square root of 41 doesn't break down, doesn't simplify at all, so that's it. But I would write this as my two different solutions. X equals a minus 3 plus that square root of 41 all over 4, or x equals the same minus 3, subtract that square root of 41 all over 4. Okay, you're always getting those two solutions, unless it's a repeated one like our second example. All right, let's try one more just to see what else can happen. In this one, my a is 3, my b equals a minus 1, my c equals 1. Into the formula. Opposite of b, plus or minus square root of b squared, 1, minus 4ac, so 12 times 1 is just 12, divided by 2a, which is 2 times 3, which is 6. And if you see why I wanted to throw this example at you, is you could even get a negative under the radical with this formula. It can happen, okay? Now that's not a real number, so if you haven't started dealing with imaginary numbers or complex numbers yet, and you will if you haven't, I'd have to say that there's no solution here, okay? I just wanted to show you an example where the a's, the b's, and the c's could even yield a negative under the radical, okay? Hope that review helped. You got this.